Hello, Gemini, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. Hope you're enjoying spring weather somewhere. It's getting warmer and warmer here, and I love it. This will be your weekly reading for the week of May 4th through May 10th. And during that time, we will have a first quarter moon, and that happens on the 5th or the 6th, kind of depending on where you are. And the first quarter moon is energy of feeling impulsive and impatient. Your mind might be very active and just a little frustrated, and so pay attention to that energy. We then do move into the waxing gibbous energy, and that just calms down quite a bit, and allows you to get back to work or focus on what you've got going on in your life right now. So pay attention to those moon energies as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for things that you may or may not encounter this week, Gemini. So, of course, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message card for this reading is the answers you need are coming. And that is the full moon in Gemini card. So the answers you need are coming. Let's see what the Gemini collective has going on this week. And Gemini, while I'm shuffling, since my readings are free to you, all that I ask is in return is that you click that subscribe button. It really helps my channel. It's super, super easy for you to do. So I'll give you just a moment to do that right now. Thank you so much. And if you've been a subscriber, I see you and I appreciate you. I see people returning, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you. I can't believe this card just came out. I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm going to continue the shuffle. Oh, so funny. Oh, other cards. So lots of cards flying out here, Gemini. The answers you need are coming, and they're definitely flying out of the deck this week. So, all right. Also, while I'm shuffling, I would like to remind you to notice the world around you today when it comes to synchronicities. And this could be animals or repeating numbers, maybe songs or conversations that you overhear. But watch for the synchronicities as the universe speaks to you. There's always clues and breadcrumbs for you to follow that show you clarity on your unique path. Okay, so Gemini, let's get going here. The answers you need are coming. And your present energy, which I will say this is the third reading that I've done for this week. All three readings have started with this card, which tarot, it can be so strange sometimes. And especially I'm learning, this is the first time I've done collective readings. So now that I've been doing them here for a few months, I'm starting to notice things. And many times I can see how, not just the collective of one sign, but how all the signs, things are tied together. It's so fascinating to me, but noticing those patterns. But like everyone else, Gemini, like the first three signs, which or the first two signs, I just did Aries and Taurus, and you're the third sign. But everyone has had this come up. So for some reason, everybody's making a lot of choices in this week between May 4th and May 10th. Why? I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to look around and see what comes up just kind of in the world that week. So anyway, lots of choices going on for you that week and for everyone else. So, I always say that choices are a luxury if you have them. The more choices you have, the nicer that is. Sometimes if you don't have choices, but keep that in mind as you're moving through your week. All those different choices, and what will you choose? Also, your current situation is that it's the Two of Wands, and that has you thinking about the future. And that could be thinking about the effects that these choices here have on your future. What will you choose? And you're kind of, just thinking about the future in making some of those choices and what you might choose. At the root of your situation is the Four of Pentacles. So you're sitting in a place of financial stability and just stability in the world around you. So, I think this is not a bad thing to come up to with all those choices. You're making them, you're able to make them kind of with a clear mind and with like a stability around you. So that's always good when you're making choices, and you have a lot of choices. In your recent past is the Page of Swords. So pages are kind of our juvenile and also are indicators of kind of a new path. And in this one, this is air energy. So this could be, some new idea that you've recently had. This could be, just some new intellectual thing that you're working on, or some new way of messaging that you're undertaking, some change that you're coming into having these choices. And it could just be that you've decided, I'm going to be more positive in my in the way I speak, just something of that nature. You've made some sort of change either in your messaging or in your mindset recently, and you're coming into the situation with that, which is really nice. What is on your mind this week is the death card. So some sort of ending that's on your mind. And with endings come new beginnings, and that could be something with all of these choices. This doesn't have to be literal death, although it could be that, that you have death around you in your friend or family realm, and it's on your mind and something you've been thinking about, of course. And if there's a situation where, you might be grieving someone, and that goes on for quite some time, and sometimes that kind of ebbs and flows. So, where you might not have really been thinking about it this week, something or last week, something this week kind of triggers that, and it brings that person back, and just kind of brings it back to the forefront of your mind, and it might flow back away next week. So um yeah, that could be something that's on your mind this week for some reason. It could be something has kind of triggered that for you. What is just ahead of you this week is the Two of Pentacles. So kind of juggling things just in the financial and the worldly realm. This is just trying to keep all those balls in the air when it comes to work life and home life, and your financial life, and things going on with this could be it's that time of year for like spring cleaning and home improvements and that sort of thing. So I've noticed that as the theme too over the last couple of weeks, like people working on things in their material realm. So, and that's just you got to juggle those things. That's something that just happens. It does seem to happen kind of a few times a year, where we all as a collective kind of focus on those things. As the changing of the seasons, we might be improving things or kind of redecorating for different seasons, that sort of thing. So keep that in mind this week. In your advice position is the hangman. So your advice is to notice things around you this week, and it's okay to take on a new perspective and kind of have an attitude change, whatever that might be for you. Again, you might be thinking of things, when it comes to death and grieving, and that might change your outlook on something, or you're thinking about the future, and that may change your outlook on something. But there's some, yeah, there, and it could be just a combination of all of that, but it just kind of has you changing your perspective a little bit and looking at things from a different angle, and that's never ever a bad thing. What is beyond your control this week is the King of Cups. So, this is you sitting in an emotional space, and not only in control and in charge of your own emotions, but also the ability to see the big picture of, kind of everyone around you. This would be, the ability to understand and be concerned about, the emotions of your spouse and maybe your children and your extended family when it comes to different decisions that you're making, how that ripple effect, how things that you do affect other people around you. So that's beyond your control this week, is just to really kind of be sitting in that energy and that knowledge, which is great. Secret outcome, or what you're trying to avoid, is the Magician, or I'm sorry, secret desire. Interesting. So interesting that that's in this position. This will be your big question of the week is, so, the Magician card is about, your awareness. This is also about, kind of asking, what do you want to manifest and how do you want to manifest things? And is it your secret desire to ask those questions right now, or are you kind of trying to avoid that? Are you being forced into that maybe by this death card being on your mind, or having to kind of juggle things? Or are you trying to avoid that? So what is it that you want to manifest? And think about that this week. Is that, are you trying to avoid having that kind of asking the universe for what you want, or is it your secret desire to be able to do that? Big question for you this week. And your outcome position is the Judgment card, so you may make a decision about that, and if you do, that's where you're going to make a judgment about something. Again, you've got this new perspective. I'm looking here, we've got four major arcana. This is a big decision for you, and your overall message card is that the answers you need are coming. So you've been asking some sort of questions here about something. Let me grab a drink real quick. You've been questioning something, and maybe not even out loud, but this could be just questions in your mind, and it could be about this messaging, things about your future, things about finances. I mean, it looks like, there's a lot of different things going on, but you are going to come to some decision by the end of the week about something, and you're going to have kind of a new, fresh perspective and new way of looking at things as you're maybe thinking through all of these, which it is kind of all over the place, but that's life. Sometimes there's not a real focus on a week. Sometimes things are just kind of all over the place. So looks like you may have that kind of week for some. Looks like you're out of your normal routine. But the answers you need are coming. So pay attention to those synchronicities. Like I said at the beginning of the video, they're probably all around you. All right, let's get a final word here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final word for Gemini: keep your commitments. So that's one thing we're going to do, is make sure that you are, through this week of a lot of different things going on, just make sure you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, things that you've committed, and raise your vibration. So, and maybe that's something to do here with this new perspective and this new way of thinking or new way of messaging that you're going to go into this week and try to be this new person. This is a like I said, our pages are kind of our juveniles, and that doesn't mean that it's about you being juvenile. It's about trying something that is new to you. So, and again, if it's some new way of messaging, then I wish you the best of luck with that. So, and we'll see where we get with Judgment. Again, this is a lot of, anytime I see more than one major arcana, I think this is kind of a big thing that you're thinking about. I don't know. And it is kind of all over the place, because we've got almost, we've got all of the elements represented here with cups, pentacles, swords, and wands. So this kind of involves a little bit of everything, and it's kind of thinking big, I guess, is the thing that I want to say, is that it's about big thinking, but it's not really about a lot of excuse me, activity. So a lot of thinking, a lot of mulling things over, this and that, thinking through, and it's a lot of different areas of your life. So, Gemini, I hope that makes sense to you. Again, the answers you need are coming. Raise your vibration. Just, try to get in a positive place this week while you're thinking through a lot of these kind of heavy topics. So, also, Gemini, I really appreciate your time here with me today, and I do hope there was something that you can take away and use. I do feel like this reading's all over the place this week, so there may be a reason for that. And if you're comfortable sharing, and if you know the reason, leave me a comment down below and let me know. I do post readings weekly, so come back next week. We'll see if this energy continues or if there's something completely new here for you. Also, I just noticed I forgot to see what was hidden from you this week, so we're going to do that. What's hidden from you this week is the Emperor card. And this is our card of leadership and kind of, getting things done. And so maybe it's not a week for that. Like I said, I don't see a lot of doing this week. That's kind of hidden from you. But there's a lot of thinking this week, and maybe a lot of conversations and just things going on in that manner. Anyway, I do post weekly, so come back next week and we'll see if this continues, this energy, or if there's something completely new here for you. And also, I will ask again, if you like my reading style, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. It really does help, and I would appreciate that so much. And most importantly, Gemini, it'll help you find me next week. So we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.